everybody. Hello. I almost said happy Friday. It is not Friday. Happy Wednesday. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to How to Be Real with your spouse who's excited. Okay, while we're getting ready and waiting for everybody to come, let me just tell you a few things. So I want you to participate as much as you want to participate. No one can see you. The only person on screen is me. If you have a question, oh, hold on. I had to switch my microphone. Is that better, you guys? Can you hear me better? Let me know. Sorry. If you have a question or a comment, basically I'm going to open it up for questions, for comments, from feedback. You're going to pop over to the Q&A box. It's really your only option. Perfect. Thank you. And throw it in there. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, there's two like little text message bubble things that say Q&A. So that's where you want to be. No one else can see your question. No one can see who's typing it. It's totally safe. You're totally good. Any point, if you have a thought or a question or something you would like for me to address, come over to the Q&A box and put it in there. I'm going to change my name. I'm Heather Flake. Fantastic. Okay, awesome. We are just going to go ahead and get started. I think those were all the things I needed to tell you. All right. So I am here on behalf of Life Coach University on the Pay It Forward platform. So the mission of Life Coach University is to get life coaching to millions for free. We want people to be able to experience the power and the magic, or even just get comfortable or become aware of what life coaching even is. And so we offer free classes every month called Pay It Forwards to pay it forward to the world. So we're paying it forward to you by offering this content and helpful things that will hopefully help you in your marriage and in your life. And then we ask you, as you participate in these courses, to also pay it forward in the world in whatever way that you see fit. So it's just kind of a fun mission. And then there is a place on the Life Coach University website where you can actually share how you paid it forward, and it's really fun. So you can go to lifecoachuniversity.com, and there are tons of classes that are being offered all the time. So I'd encourage you to head over there and check out what's happening. I also want to make you aware that on September 19th through the 23rd, so the second to last week in September, I think. Yeah. We are doing what we're calling the Giving Week. And along myself and I think 4 other coaches are going to be teaching week-long courses on different topics. So I'm going to be teaching a course called Marriage Mindset. I ran this course back in June. It's $20 to come to this course. So basically you go to lifecoachuniversity.com, you hit courses, I believe, and you can sign up for whatever course you want, and it's $20. And then your $20 is being donated. Half of that is being donated to a charity. The charity that I'm partnering with is to help suicide prevention. And so you can check that out. There's a course on more than mom genes. Like there's lots of great things going on. So I want to invite you about that. Marriage Mindset is all about helping you change the way that you think so you can feel differently, so you can take different action in your marriage and create more connection and peace and joy in your marriage. So I highly encourage you to go check that out. It supports a great cause, and then you're going to feel better. You're going to show up better in your marriage. Everybody gonna win. All right. All right, let's do this. Okay, I would love to hear from you. Put it in the Q&A. Why are you here today? Why did you come to How to Be Real with your spouse? I want to know. And here's the thing, you guys, I make these courses up. I mean, so I'm a marriage coach. I'm a stay-at-home mom and a marriage coach. I help women. I don't coach couples. I help the woman in her marriage who is just feeling really discouraged or just unhappy. This is not what I thought it was going to be. We're like roommates. We don't even connect anymore. There's no romance. That's the woman that I help. And so, along with themes that I'm seeing in my life, in my marriage, and in my clients' lives, I create content for this monthly course that I do. And so, for whatever reason, I've just been seeing a lot of this in myself and in my clients, just like that ability to be real or to be honest or to say when you're struggling or to say when you need help. So, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And in a minute, I'm going to define even more so what I mean by being real, but I want to hear from you as well. Why are you here? Yes. Okay. Someone says, because I feel like I can't really say what I want to say. I started to have ideas. Sorry, this is another person. I started to have ideas that it would be better if we were not together. And that's scary. Yeah, totally. You guys are in the right place. And can I just say, congratulations for coming. There are so many other places you could be. It's also such an amazing thing that you're here, that you are trying, that you want it to be better, you want to feel better, you're getting help. A lot of people just sit there and feel sad and bad and stay there and do nothing. So it's amazing that you're here and I'm going to help you. I'm going to take really good care of you. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Thank you for sharing. And I'll just tell you that the more that you share and the more questions you ask and contribute, the more you're going to get out of this. And I also want you to know that if that feels really nerve-wracking for you and you don't want to do that, it's okay. You're going to get amazing things out of this as well. All right. So let's define what I mean by being real. I mean actually saying what you think, actually being able to express how you feel. I mean answering honestly when your spouse asks you how you're doing or if you're okay. I don't know about you, but so often we're like, yeah, I'm fine. And you're not fine. Right? So we're going to talk about why we do that and how we can start trending in the other way. Asking for help. Are you able to ask for help when you need it? I know so many of us really struggle to say something when we need help. So we're going to talk about that. Or just admitting when you're struggling or you're having a bad day. And that's, I notice this in myself. It's so funny. It's very obvious for my family to see when I'm not doing well, like I'm being a holy terror out there in the home. But I'm just like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Like, what? I'm not fooling anybody. So why do I feel like I can't say that? We're going to talk about that. And then just being you. When I say being real, like how you do you feel like you can be in your relationship? Are there certain things that you've stopped doing or you have started doing or you don't do because you think that your spouse will be embarrassed by you or they'll think what you're doing is stupid or wrong? Or they think you should act in this way and so you're trying to be that way, right? That's what I'm talking about is how you are you and how much do you actually say what's true for yourself in the relationship. We're going to talk about why is that so hard and how we can actually start doing it and what the benefits of doing that are. Okay. So with that being said, why would we actually be real in our relationship? Because hello, it sounds like it's really uncomfortable and it's for sure going to be hard. And I think for some of us, when we feel bad or we feel like we don't really, we have a hard time communicating what we need or how we feel, it almost seems easier to stay in that place. Even though we're uncomfortable and we don't like it and we wish it was different, it almost feels easier to stay there because we have a hard time believing anything else is possible. And because it's just scary, right? It's scary to change. It's scary to do something new. And our brains are like, oh my gosh, like, what are people going to think of you? How is your husband going to respond? And we talk ourselves out of it. Okay. But why would we actually want to be real? Because then your relationship is more real. Like it's not pretend or flowery or made up. Like you are being the real you. And so and here's the thing, that is not always going to feel good for you. Sorry, I'm going to do that disclaimer right here, right now, right up front. It does not always feel good to do these things, especially when you're in the habit of not doing them. In fact, it's going to feel horrible at first. I'm just going to tell you. but I'm also going to teach you how to deal with the feelings. You're going to be fine. Okay, I'm going to take a question because questions are what makes this class the bomb. Okay. I don't say what I really think because I know that I'll get bombarded with questions. Why? Why would you? What were you thinking? Yeah. Okay, friend, but I want to ask you, what's the effect of that? Right? So you don't say what you're really thinking because the thought is, okay, if I say what I'm thinking, I'm going to get bombarded with a million questions. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, okay, why is that a problem for me? Why is it a problem that I'm going to get asked all of these questions? And so that's the first thing. And then honestly, what's the effect of you continually not saying what you're thinking? What effect is that having on yourself and the relationship you have with you? What effect is that having on your marriage or your relationship as a whole? Answer those questions. Okay. Another friend says they ask for all the details and I get so tired and frustrated. Yeah, I can totally relate. Right. And I think sometimes it's just like a personality thing. Like my husband just shares all the things. He tells me like I mean, not every, like that's a little extreme, but I feel like he tells me every thought that he has during the day and he read this thing and he wants to tell me all the things. And he'll come home and be like, hey, how was your day? And I'm like, good. And I can tell he's like, woman, give me something. Right. But it's kind of that thing. It's just like, I'm tired. I'm making dinner. I just want to be by myself. Like, it's just, it's hard to get out of all of the words sometimes. Right. So sometimes you're not real because you get tired and frustrated because they're asking for all the details. And while I get it, I also want to ask you, but why is that bad? Like right now you're annoyed by it, you're frustrated by it. Where on the flip side, we could flip it on its head and be like, "Oh, they care. They want to hear what I have to say. They're asking for the details." That's amazing. Right? And I'm not telling you that's how you should think or how you should feel. I'm just saying it's interesting. And I would ask myself, okay, why am I choosing to feel tired and frustrated when they're just asking me more information about something? Like be interested, be curious. Don't be judgmental of yourself. We're just being curious. Okay, awesome. Okay, another reason why I want to encourage you to be real in your relationship is because eventually it is going to feel good because it's going to allow you to feel proud of yourself and just like, hey, go me. I'm actually saying what I think and I'm expressing how I feel and I'm noticing that we're more connected. Or I'm noticing that me being real has all of a sudden given my spouse permission to be real. And so we're vulnerable with each other way more often. And we actually have things to talk about because it's not pretend anymore. Okay. So eventually it's going to feel good to be real and not all the time, but we don't need to feel good all the time. But when you feel good and you feel empowered and you feel like what you say matters, you take more action. Your feelings drive your actions, right? So when you're taking that action, maybe that is answering honestly, asking for help, listening to the other side of it. You get the results that you want in your marriage because you control that. So I think that's an amazing reason to try to be real. You have more energy because you don't have to spend all of your time now pretending to be someone that you're not. And here's the thing, it really does take a lot of energy to just like mental energy to shut yourself down, right? Like your spouse will say something to you and the first thing you think of that you want to say, but you don't actually have the courage to say, you have to like quiet that down and push it away and then come up with something fake. That takes work, that takes energy. So I think you actually get more energy by being honest and being real. And it creates this momentum of like, hey, I can do this. I can be me and it's okay. Maybe I can translate this into other areas of my life. And I think that's really exciting. Like I already said, it creates more connection and vulnerability and love in your relationship. It gives your spouse permission to be real. It teaches your children that are observing or whoever it is that might have a front row seat to your marriage. It teaches them that, oh, hey, it's okay to not feel good all the time. And hey, it's okay to say how I really feel, even if it's a hard thing to say. I think that's such an amazing gift we can give our families. And lastly, you get really good at feeling negative emotion. And this is honestly like the most amazing gift you could give yourself is the ability to feel bad. I know it sounds weird, but if you could just handle your negative emotion, if you could just process it and feel it instead of running away from it or avoiding it or try and convince yourself it's not real, you would be way more willing to have difficult conversations. You'd be way more willing to just be who you are in the relationship. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you guys to take your pulse on your realness in your relationship. Okay, so you can do this in a variety of ways, but you can just ask yourself, okay, like this is a quick check. When my spouse asks me, like, hey, how are you doing? Or hey, are you okay? On an average, how honestly do you answer? Right. So it's like out of 10 times, if my husband asks me 10 times over 10 days how I'm doing, out of those 10 times, how often am I being true? How often am I being real with him and what's happening for me? Is it 5? Is it 3? Is it 0? Is it 10? Like just kind of give yourself a little gauge, and you don't need to be married to it. You don't need to freak out. It's not a big deal. I just want you to get yourself thinking about how you are currently showing up so we can figure out where we want to go and how we actually do that. Another question you can ask yourself is, when I need help, when I feel like I'm needing something, do I ask my spouse or do I not do that? And why? If you do ask them, if you don't ask them, why? When you're having a hard time, when you're just struggling, when you're having a bad day, do you tell that to your spouse? Why or why not? When is it easy for you to tell the truth versus when is it difficult? When do you feel like it's nearly impossible for you to be real? And then the last check is just like check in with how you feel. Like, what are your emotions? On average, how do you feel in the marriage? Because those feelings, like I told you, are driving your actions. Those actions create your results. So, how you feel matters so much. And if you're feeling annoyed, or if you're feeling unheard, or you're feeling afraid, you're probably going to really struggle to be real. And that's okay. We just want to we can work backwards and figure out what thoughts are generating those feelings for us and how we can start to neutralize the playing field a little bit. Drink break. Okay. So, now I want to talk to you about one of the main things that comes up with this. So I asked my followers on Instagram, like, okay, where do you struggle to be real in your marriage, or what's the hardest part? Something along those lines. And I had lots of answers I had several different responses, but pretty much 3 things came up. Okay. So let's talk about this. And I want you to throw it in the Q&A. Like, and some of our friends already did, but even more, if you have more, why? Why are you lying? Why are you not telling them the truth? Why aren't you asking for help? Like, what's going on for you? I'm going to clear this Q&A so I know when someone has put in a new one, okay? Okay, sweet. All right, so one of the main concerns that comes up is, how can I be honest with my spouse without being rude? Okay, so the first thing that I want you to notice is maybe in your brain, you think that the only way to be honest is by being rude. Okay. And you say, like, the person that asked me this said it just kind of matter of factly, like I need to be honest, but I don't want to be rude. And apparently you can't be honest and not rude. Totally not true. Did you know that you can be honest and you can be so lovely about it? And you can be honest and you can be kind and you can be honest and you can be love. What? And you get in a loving way. Okay. So just because you're being honest doesn't mean you're being mean or bad or wrong or rude, right? So how can I be honest with my spouse without being rude? Ask yourself, is it your intention to be rude? Like, are you trying to jab them in some way? Are you trying to come at them? Are you trying to make them upset? Like, what is your actual intention in bringing this issue up? Whatever it is, what is your honest intention? And like, you got to answer that honestly for yourself. well, I'm just kind of pissed at them and they've been bugging me lately. So they need to know about the things that they're not doing well, right? You got to be really clear with yourself about what your intention is in having the conversation. Okay. So you have to be honest with yourself first. But here are some things you can actually do. If you don't want to be rude, right? You honestly want to express to your spouse how you're feeling and you're not trying to hurt their feelings or make them mad. One of the amazing things that you can do is you can preface the conversation. It's really easy. You just say, "Hey, listen, I need to tell you some things, and they might be hard to hear. They're kind of hard for me to say. Um, but like if you could just give me the talking stick for a minute, and I'm just going to get it out, and I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm not trying to come across as rude or upset. I care about you so much, and it's important to me that I'm honest with you. So here it goes." Okay, like you can do a disclaimer, you can do a preface like, "Hey, I'm not a perfect person, but I love you fiercely. Hence I'm being honest with you." Okay? I care so much, hence I'm going to tell you some things that are probably not going to be super fun to hear, and they're definitely not fun for me to say, but it feels important to me. Okay? Another thing that you want to do if you're worried about, being rude, but also wanting to be honest, you've got to own things, okay? And use I statements. So often we're just like, "Listen, you make me feel really bad. You are always judging me. And we're just like pointing the finger the whole time. And then we're so confused as to why our spouse is annoyed with us. If you ask me, it makes a ton of sense, right? When people come at me with all the things I'm doing wrong, I very rarely am like, "Yes, tell me more." But I want to be that way. I'm working on it. So you just want to own it. You're just like, "Listen, I've been feeling really overwhelmed. I've been feeling really frustrated lately. And like, here's an example. You had this conversation with me, and while you were saying that, here's what I was thinking, and here's what I was feeling. And I am sure it was not your intention to make me feel bad. I know that it wasn't. I just want you to know, like, this is how I feel, and can we talk about it?" Right? So just and own what's real for you. Like, I was feeling really angry because I was thinking that you didn't care about me when you said that thing. Okay. So that's the other thing. If you are new to me, welcome, but know that your feelings, you guys, are created by your thoughts, not your spouse. Okay. Again, the way you feel, the emotions you experience in your life, in your body, are created by the thoughts you think in your head, not the actions of others, not the things that people say, not the circumstances, right? Our thoughts create our feelings. So when you're having a conversation, when you're working on being real, I think it's really beautiful to own up to that, mostly for yourself. So your brain can hear, and that truth can be reinforced like, "Oh yeah, I create my feelings. My husband, my wife doesn't create my feelings. I create them. I'm in charge of them." Okay. That's really helpful to know. My rings are like being noisy. Um, so just own it. Don't So often when we try to be real, we start out conversations and we're super defensive, right? And it's like an attack. Okay, well, you own up. Own up to what you did wrong. Own up to where you are falling short. And it's fine. Don't make it mean anything bad about anyone. It's called being a human. Hello, right? Own up to that. Use I statements. And then lastly, what would happen if you accessed genuine love for your spouse, like for real? You're not just like, "Yeah, I love them, but," just like, "No, I love this person so much." Like, what if you just took a few minutes to think about them and the journey you've been on, how you found them, the love that you really do feel for them? What if you just allowed yourself to feel some love and then you were real? Okay. Now, the last thing you need to know, even if you aren't trying to be rude or mean, the person on the other end, the spouse, they might think that you are rude and you are trying to be mean. Did you know this? You know this. You don't get to control their reaction. So even if you do all this prep and you use I statements and you preface it and you really do feel genuine love for them, they might be like, "Oh my gosh, you're the worst. That was so rude. I cannot believe you came at me like that." And they're allowed to do that. Adults get to do whatever the heck they want to do. right? So I just want you to drop that part. You don't get to decide how they're going to react to you being real. Okay? This is like pretty personal. You have to decide. Oh yeah, I'm being real for me and because I want my spouse to know the real me. She's awesome. Like everyone deserves to know her. But I'm doing this for me because I want to be in integrity with myself. And my spouse might not like what I have to say, and that's okay. And now I'm going to talk to you about hurting their feelings. But we're going to hop in the Q&A first. All right. Our first attendee says, I don't ask for help anymore because he just sighs and rolls his eyes. But there are some things that are really hard for me to do. Usually I have to go and ask friends and family to help me instead. Okay, so the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, I just want you to take control of what you can control, right? And that's you asking help. So just kind of observe an interaction you've had and how do you show up? When you go to your husband to ask for help, how does it go? How are you asking? What's your energy? What are the circumstances happening around you, right? Like, I just want you to take note of those things. And let's see, I don't ask for help because he just sighs and rolls his eyes. Okay. Then the other thing that you want to be really clear on is so often our brains, we just dramify. That's a word I made up. We just dramify everything. So maybe you've asked your husband to help you 3 times, and those 3 times, or maybe one of those times, he sighed and he rolled his eyes. And so now our brain makes it mean we can never ask him for help again. He doesn't like us. He sighs and rolls his eyes every time. So you want to get really clear on what the facts actually are. So how do I show up? How am I asking for help? What's the way that I'm doing it? What's the motive behind it? Am I asking from a genuine place of love and like a genuine desire for his help? Or am I asking out of resentment? Am I asking out of naggy energy? Like, how am I showing up? What honestly is propelling me to ask for help? And then recognizing, what are the facts? When I said this sentence, asking for help, what did he do? And you know what? If your spouse rolls his eyes and sighs, then I ask you, what do you do? I would love to hear from you. What do you do? You probably get so mad and you're like, well, you're worthless. Why do I ask you for help? What if instead you sat down and you're like, hey, what is this? This sighing, this eye rolling, not in a patronizing way. I'm being for real. You're being really curious. You're like, what's going on for you? Are you okay? Listen, if you don't want to help me, it's fine. I have amazing friends and family that I can ask. I thought it'd be cool to spend some time together. It's okay if you don't want to help me. Like, don't freak out. It's no big deal. I have so many people in my circle that want to help me. But are you okay? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, pay attention to the facts, but also pay attention that just because your husband rolled his eyes inside doesn't mean that you have to be pissed off and leave and tell yourself this story that he never wants to help you, when that was based on one interaction. And who knows, like, what's going on for him? What kind of a day has he had? What are his circumstances? What might he be thinking? Right? Like, let's just give some space for humans to be human. And then the other end of that is, you know what, really, if your spouse just does not want to help you and he doesn't want to communicate as to why that is, maybe you just recognize, okay, I for sure need help on these things, and I'm not going to be getting it from husband, apparently, not today. So I can ask him again next month if I want, but who else is in my circle that I could ask for help and use that? Does that make sense? Okay, someone says, but what if I don't care anymore about my partner? I would just ask myself, why is that? Right? Like, why are you choosing to not care about your partner anymore? How does that feel for you? Sometimes we feel certain emotions because we think that it's like sticking it to them, right? But instead, you not caring about your partner anymore, how is that feeling for you? Is that what you want? I don't know what you want. I don't know what you should do. But if you don't want to care about your partner anymore, and you like your reasons why, then that's okay. But if you don't care anymore about your partner and you don't like your reasons, or you don't even know your reasons, you do want to spend some time figuring that out. Okay. So that you can act from this place of like emotional maturity and really be pursuing what you want instead of pursuing what you don't want just because you feel bad. Okay. Sometimes I feel addressing issues is going to take too much energy with no results. Yeah, proven by previous history. Past has also shown I expose myself to gaslighting. Okay, friend, listen, move in with me and let me help you. Okay, first, I want to tell you that this totally makes sense that you would feel this way. Like addressing an issue, bringing something up is going to take too much energy and too much vulnerability, too much courage, way too much like armpit sweat and nervousness and maybe diarrhea, like whatever happens when you feel nervous or scared about addressing someone. It's going to take way too much of that. And then at the end, like I'm going to be in the exact same place. I'm not going to get the results that I want. So why in the world would I put myself out there in that scary ring to get nothing out of it? Right? Totally makes sense. I would ask myself that. Okay. Because you already have this belief, friend, that addressing issues takes a lot of energy and you don't get any results. So of course you're not going to be motivated to do it. Of course you're not going to do it because you have a belief that it's really hard and there's no results. So of course, who in the right mind would try if that's the belief? So I would just start by, I mean, ultimately it would be amazing if you could change that belief, right? And but before you can get to that point, right now, let's just question it. Let's just be like, okay, but listen, totally makes sense you feel that way because of your past or whatever. But what if this doesn't have to take that much energy? And what if we don't need the results that we think we need? And that's the other question. You have to ask yourself, what results am I looking for? Are you wanting your spouse to change? Because pause, timeout, whatever. We be real, you guys, not so our spouse will change. That's not why we're being real. Do you know this? We are being real for us because it feels horrible to be not real, because you want to be real so that you can be genuine and honest and integrity with yourself and give yourself a chance to thrive in that relationship. What the other person does with it, how the other person responds, you don't get to control, but then you get to see it and you can decide, okay, is this a relationship that I want to stay in? Is this a relationship I want to be in? Right? So next you say, oh yeah, proven by previous history. So a lot of the times we determine how our present is going to go, how our future is going to go based on our past. And we don't do certain things because we're like, listen, I've had the courage to talk to them before and it was a nightmare. Nothing happened. So I'm for sure not going to do that again. Okay. But can I just tell you something beautiful? The past is over and it's done and we can't change it and we can make peace with it. It's just like, yeah, you know what? That did happen in the past. It makes sense, but today's a new day. And what if I address these issues just because I care? I care about me and I care about my spouse and I'm willing to try. Right? And what if the result that you're looking for is I be real? Wouldn't that be lit? What if the result that you are aiming for is I am real? Do you know how much control you have over how real you are? 100%. Other people don't control how real you are. I know we get confused by this. You control how real you are. So if just the end goal is for you to say the hard thing, and you say the hard thing, go you did it. That's amazing. You can be proud of that. And then it's a different conversation, right? If you feel like certain things need to happen and they're not, that's another conversation. But don't base your future off of what's happened in the past. That's never helpful, right? Even though you're saying like your past has also shown I expose myself to gaslighting. I think that's such a toxic thought for you. Why would you choose to keep thinking that? Right? It's just like, you know what? These things happened in the past and it's done and it's over. But today, this is me and this is what's available to me. Okay, someone says, how can I work on loving them again? You have to decide that you want to, right? You have to decide. And something that I love to tell my clients is this. And I don't mean this with like a discouraging undertone, but I tell them, listen, the person your spouse is today, I want you to plan on them being them forever. And I want you to just let your spouse be the most them version that they can possibly be. So often we're like, oh my gosh, my spouse is so amazing. I love them so much. But, or we think in our head, we have like this running grocery list of like, if they would do this, this, and this, they would be the ultimate, right? But what if you were just like, you know what? This is who my spouse is. This is what they do. This is how they respond. This is how they act. Are they someone that I want to love? And if so, love is created by your thoughts. The love that you feel for another person has nothing to do with the person and everything to do with how you think about them. So how can I work on loving them again? You can work on stop thinking thoughts that create not love for you. Start questioning them, stop thinking them, and start thinking thoughts that are going to allow room for love for that person. Does that make sense? Okay, yes, this is so good. So at the beginning, when someone said, listen, when I asked my spouse for help, they roll their eyes and huff and puff. And then our friend says, oh, yeah. And I asked our friend, like, what do you do? How do you respond? And she says, well, I definitely roll my eyes back and sometimes sigh back. And then I'm not nice to him for a while. And then we're so confused as to why our spouse isn't helping us. We're mirrors, relationship are mirrors. You do the exact same thing. You act just like him, right? So next time, instead of doing that, and it makes sense that you do that, it's natural for us, right? But instead, just be like, hey, listen, get in here. Let's kiss for a really long time. And then I want you to tell me everything. Why are you sighing? Why are you rolling your eyes? Are you okay? Do you need some lemonade? Right? Like, just get curious. Give yourself some space to be curious. It's not fun to be mad and angry, right? When you roll your eyes and you sigh back and then you're not nice, you think that's punishing him. No, it's punishing you. It feels bad for you. Is that what you want? No. And you don't have to do that. You can just be curious. And if that's way too much for you right now, you can also just do this other thing. You could just like plant a little kiss on his cheek and walk out of the room. Or you could just be like, oh, all right, help isn't coming from you today. No worries. I've got 500 close friends that are signing up, are waiting anxiously for me to call on them. Make it fun. Okay, I love you guys. Thank you for putting this. This is what makes it so good. I'm going to clear these so I know when someone else has pinged us. Okay. My stomach is just growling. I hope you guys can't hear it. Apparently I'm starving. All right. Now, another reason we aren't real with our spouse sometimes is because we don't want to hurt their feelings. Can I tell you something that is earth-shattering and life-changing? You can't. You can't hurt anyone's feelings. Do you know why? Because feelings come from thoughts. So that means that you can't create feelings for other people, right? Even love. Like I feel love for my spouse. I can't make him feel my love. Sometimes he feels my love and sometimes he doesn't. That depends on him. My spouse loves me and he'll do things to show me love. Sometimes I feel it, sometimes I don't, based on what I'm thinking. Okay, so the truth about feelings, and we have never been taught this. We've been taught since we were little kids, hey, don't hurt her feelings. You need to be careful of other people's feelings. Now, listen to me. Listen to me. Just because you can't hurt other people's feelings doesn't mean you don't care about other people's feelings. I, for one, totally care about the way that people feel. I care about how my spouse feels. But I know that I'm not responsible for how he feels. That's not up to me. Okay. So I think sometimes too, this is just a cop out for us to not be real. We're like, well, I can't say that thing because I do not want to hurt his feelings and he's already in a really bad place. And so I just won't say anything. I'll just keep it to myself and it'll be fine. And then you create disconnection, the exact opposite of what you want. Okay. So the truth is, your feelings are yours, his feelings are his. And it doesn't mean that you don't care. You're just not responsible for how he feels. Right. And then that's the other thing. If you're going to have a conversation or you're going to be real and you're like, hey, I think this might be kind of hard for the other person to feel. I mean, here you can preface it, but also you can just literally say, hey, pause. I don't think it's helpful, just so you know, to tell your spouse, like, hey, I can't hurt your feelings. So what I'm about to say, right? Like, this does not give you a card to just like go off the rails and say things that maybe just like are not very nice to say. Like, I still think you should show up as the most lovely version of yourself as you possibly can, right? Like, just because I know that I can't hurt anyone's feelings does not mean I go around saying horrible things to people. No, because that's not who I want to be. And I care about how other people feel. So I try to tailor my message in a way that is respectful, but I just don't take responsibility for how other people feel, especially the man I sleep with, because that would be really dangerous. And we do it. We're totally going to do it sometimes, but I think just knowing that is really helpful. Okay, so oh yeah, what if it wasn't your intention to hurt feelings, but after the conversation, you have this conversation, it comes out that the feelings are hurt? Then what? Right? And I want to say, of course, that's totally going to happen. You as an individual, have you ever felt bad? Yes. Right? It's like the question is, what do you make it mean about you? Like, if you came to this conversation and you honestly, like, it was not your intention to hurt them or to be mean or to be ugly, but then they are feeling hurt, can you just have compassion for that? Could you understand it and not make it mean that you're bad or you're the worst or you can never do this again? You can't hurt his feelings. You can't hurt her feelings, but you can be respectful and you can care about her feelings. You just don't need to carry them because you're not responsible for them. So if you are not being real because you don't want to hurt their feelings, you don't have to do that anymore. You can give that up because you really can be respectful and kind and honest. They all can exist in the same space. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is allowing the negative emotion. So that's the thing. Here's the T. We want to feel great all the time. We want to feel happy and content and lovely all the time. And we want our spouse to feel happy and lovely and content all the time. We don't want people to be grumpy or resentful or guilty or mad or upset or sad, which is so unrealistic. We are human. It's 50-50. Half the time in our life, we feel so good. Half the other time, we do not feel so good. That's normal, right? So when you are feeling negative emotion or when you have a conversation with your spouse that's going to bring up negative emotion, can you just feel it? Can you just allow it to be there and just start being more real? Stop pretending. How much time have you wasted pretending that you're okay when you're not? And what's the effect of that? It creates disconnection, you guys. It creates the opposite of what we want, right? So I know it sounds weird, but when you feel a negative emotion, bring it in. Get in here. Let's feel bad for a little bit. You don't need Oreos. You don't need to smoke. You don't need to call your mom. Not yet. Just feel bad. Let it do its thing in your body. Turn your brain off for a second and just feel your negative emotion. And then you will gain wisdom from that emotion. And then instead of brushing it under the rug, you're actually dealing with it in a really healthy, amazing way. Okay. So just accept that it's going to feel bad to start being real, especially for those of us that really struggle to be real because it's different. It's a change. Change rarely feels good. It's uncomfortable. It's clunky. It's hard. It takes longer than we thought. And can that be okay? Can we just embrace it? It's like, let me give you an example that's kind of outside of marriage. So the beginning of August, I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I put both of them in like a half-time daycare situation so that I can work more consistently, right? My 4-year-old is thriving. She loves pre-K. She loves kids. She's very social. My 1-year-old hates it so much. And every Monday and Wednesday and Friday, like I don't even drop him off because I just can't deal. My husband will drop him off, but anytime I check on him on the little camera at his school, he's sad or he's sitting alone, or like I can just tell he's visibly uncomfortable. It's really hard for him. It's a change. He's never been around little kids before. He is attached to my hip. He's always right here with his mommy. Okay. And when I'm at work doing my work and he's at school, it feels really bad. I feel guilty. I feel uncomfortable. I feel the whole time like I should just drive to the school and rescue him so he doesn't have to feel sad. But all the while, I'm like, listen, he's learning. He's learning how to socialize. I'm growing a business. I'm helping more people. He's learning things. He's getting friends. And even though it sucks right now, it's not always going to suck. But I'm willing to just feel bad right now. I don't tell myself that I should feel better, that I should just be grateful. I feel bad while I work. So it's kind of the same thing. Can you just allow yourself to feel bad while you be real? We think that we're like, oh, hey, did you guys know I'm going to start being real now? And we think it's going to feel so good. And then when it feels bad, we're like, abort, abort, abort. It's feeling horrible. This clearly is the wrong path. No, if it feels bad, it probably is the right path. Right? It's hard, it's challenging, it's different. And it's just like, oh, of course, it's a change. Change is hard. It's going to feel bad. But if you just embrace it and welcome it and allow it, eventually it will get better. And you're going to get more practice at being real. You're going to get more practice at feeling bad and allowing your emotions. Then you're going to be unstoppable. If you're willing to feel negative emotion, you will accomplish insane things in your life. Do you guys have any questions? Anything? So the last few things that I just want to run through you, and then we're going to go through some more questions that were sent in. I want you to try to access the realest you with confidence. Okay. Meaning I don't want you to apologize. And I also don't think you need to send out an email and be like, hey, family and friends, hey, spouse. So I'm going to start being real now. You might notice some changes about me. No, but it's like, don't apologize. So often we try a new thing or we say what we need to say and we're like, hey, I'm so sorry. And it's like, why are you apologizing? Like you didn't do anything wrong. Okay. So instead, confidence in yourself comes from the way that you think about yourself, right? So how do you think about you? How you think about you creates how you feel about you. So if you want to be confident, even if it's just a little bit more confident in the way that you talk about what you need or express how you feel, you've got to be in tune with what you think about you. If you're thinking, dude, this is so stupid, what you think doesn't matter, shut up. It's going to be really hard for you to say the thing. But instead, a thought that I love to think is what you think matters. You matter. And that is honestly a huge one for me. I matter. When I think that I matter, it gives me the courage to be more real because I matter. What I think matters, how I feel matters, what I believe matters. And it gives me that push I need to be real, even though it's going to feel uncomfortable. I also just want you to give yourself permission and space to be bad at it. When you start being real, you might come across as awkward. You might stumble over your words. You might say something you really didn't mean to say, but you're not used to expressing yourself. And so it comes off clunky and bad and weird. Are you in? Will you do it? Can you just do it? It's like anything, playing the piano, shooting hoops, starting a business. At first, you suck at it. You're bad at it. But if you keep showing up to practice and if you keep trying, guess what? You get good at it and it gets easier. Same exact thing here. I want you to give yourself permission to just love yourself anyways. And you can preface it. I'm such a fan of the preface. I'm always just like, listen, hey, I want to talk to you about something that's been rattling around in my head for a few days and it's going to come off weird and clunky and annoying. But if you could just be quiet and listen to me, that'd be so amazing. Go. And I give myself time and space. I don't try to rush it out of me. Like just allow yourself you have to give yourself a chance to be real. Just like I'm learning, I have to give my son a chance to get used to school. And everything in me just wants to pull him out. It is the strongest pull. I'm like, stop, give up your dreams, give up the business, just go pick up your baby from school and hold him all day, every day, and never let him grow. Never let him experience things he needs to experience. That's what my brain tells me to do. It's a pull. I get that. It's strong. But you don't have to give in. It's okay for you to feel negative emotion. And I always just tell me, hey, I love me anyways. That came across as kind of weird. That was kind of clunky. It's kind of odd being the real us, but I love you anyways. Excuse me. Okay, someone says, allow self to have time and get space. I will try. Yes, and I think that's so beautiful. Don't try, just do it. You can totally do it. Give yourself time and space. That's the other thing. I think we think that we have to be just like so efficient and have this perfectly memorized speech and show up. It's like, no. If it takes you 35 minutes to ask for help, go you. You showed up and you asked for help, and that's a win, and we celebrate that. Okay? You have to give yourself time. You have to give yourself space. And you know what? I always say, what if it takes 5 years? What if it takes you 5 years to be better at being real? Are you in? And you're like, no, that's way too much time. And I'm like, okay, so you're just going to keep not being the real you forever instead of like, that makes zero sense. The time is going to pass anyways. So you might as well practice being real, practice feeling bad, getting better at it, because at the end, it's a real you. You have a better relationship with you and with your spouse. Win-win. Okay. Lastly, I want to just tell you that just take control of what you have control over. Let me remind you what you have control over. Oh, where's my pointer? Beep, beep, beep. Just you, only you. You don't get to control your spouse. You don't get to control how they react, what they do, how they think, how they feel. None of that is in your control. Okay. You only can control yourself. You have complete control over what you choose to think, how you feel, the things you do, the way you react, the results you create, the goals you set, the person you are, the way you live. 100% in your control. Okay. Own your stuff, drop his. You do not need them to change in order for you to feel better. If you want to feel better, then you can change because that's going to benefit you. Okay. And just you can just choose to feel love too, because that is always going to feel best for you. Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes we withhold our love because we tell ourselves that they don't deserve that. They don't deserve our love. They've been so horrible to us. You withholding love hurts you. When I choose to feel love for another person, that feels amazing for me. Okay. All right. Someone says, my husband has had a change in his medication. It's brought out bad BO. It's really hard for me. I feel sick with the smell. I tried to bring it up in a nice way. He totally got upset and now he's all sarcastic about it. Daddy's got BO. I was hoping that we could talk about the smell so he could ask his doctors about it. It's all a mess now. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. I want you to notice that how your brain is doing the drama. It's like, see, this is a whole mess. You never should have said anything. And now this is a whole nightmare. No, it's not. Here are the facts, right? Husband had a change in medication. You said something. I don't know what you said, but whatever you said was a fact. And then him getting upset or whatever he said, only what he said. Your brain is going to extrapolate things. Okay. So there's really only a few facts here. So now what I would suggest is just like, okay, I tried one way and that didn't really work out. What else can I try? And I would think about like, how did I approach this situation? Like, what was my energy? How did I come at it? What did I actually say? What was my body saying that I wasn't aware of that it was saying, right? Like you want to totally own you and what you can own. And then let's step in his shoes for a second. And it's like, how might that be to to hear the news that like, hey, you stink, right? Like that might be some difficult news to hear. So again, right now your brain is telling you that it's hopeless and you're just going to have to live with a stinky husband forever. And that's feeling just like, ugh. And you're also feeling like, I tried to be real and vulnerable and it was a mess. Everything's a mess. No, we've got some stinky armpits because of some medication. No big deal, right? It's just like, okay, like let's make a game out of this. Like, all right, what else can I control? Do I do the shopping? Can I buy different deodorant? Like what is it that I can control? But it's also just maybe it's this element of you being real, of coming to the husband and being like, listen, I'm just sorry. If you told me that I smelled bad, I would be mad too. And I feel like I just kind of created this mess and I'm really sorry. And like maybe the question is, okay, what does real you want to do now? Knowing where you are. And when your brain is like, oh, this is a mess, you never should have done any of this, you're just like, brain, quiet down. That's not true. This is not a mess. We have a weird smell, a new medication, and I have the ability to use words. Let's go. Do you see that? Okay. And you guys, I want to tell you that this whole process of being real just takes practice. It's like riding a bike, the piano, just like we talked about. You just have to practice over and over and over again. And you have to be willing to be bad at it and willing to be awkward and willing to feel not good. And then I just want you to be really aware. When is it easier for you to be real? When is it harder? And dive into that. Like, okay, I have a really hard time when it comes to body odor and being real. All right. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what else we can do. Excuse me. And then you've got to have grace for yourself. You've got to have compassion. If you're going to judge and beat up on yourself and be mean, this process it may not be very helpful. Just be the scientist. Put on your lab coat, observe yourself, observe your brain, observe how you feel, observe how you show up, and then be compassionate and understanding. It's like, oh, it's fascinating. It makes sense that I'm showing up that way, but that's actually not how I want to show up. What could I try instead? Scientific method. Create a hypothesis, and then you go out there and you try it and you see what works. You collect data, you try again. Okay. I want to get a tattoo on my hands, be real, to encourage me to do it. Hey, whatever works. But honestly, sometimes I've heard like people will write on little sticky notes and put it in their pocket, or you can write on your mirror, or you can make it the screensaver on your phone. But I also love to, like, you just want to be clear about what be real means for you, right? It doesn't matter what it means to anybody else, but like, what does being real in my relationships look like? And what little things can I do to remind myself that it's worth it and to remind myself to go out there and do it? I think that's a really, again, then that can be a fun way to like think of it and then come up with something. Okay. There was a few other questions I want to address. And if you have any more questions about being real or applying this, throw it in the Q&A. We may go over time. I'm okay to stay. If you have to pop off, I understand that too. But okay. Someone said, how do I tell my spouse he's bugging me without it turning into a fight? This is like the question at the beginning. You're just assuming that if you tell your spouse they're bugging you, it's going to turn into a fight, that being real equates to a fight. Not true. And the other thing, it takes two people to have a fight, right? So again, what's your intention? How can you show up in a loving way? And even before that, why are they bugging you? You're feeling bugged and you think it's because of them? It's not. You're feeling bugged because of something that you're thinking in your brain. What is that? And is this something that feels important that you want to bring to the table? Or is it something that you can work through and it's not as big of a deal? Okay. But in order for something to become a fight, it takes two people. So if your husband gets upset and is mad and is whatever, you don't have to engage with that same behavior. You don't have to be a mirror. You don't have to fight back, right? You can try to explain yourself. You can leave the room. You can wait till emotions calm down. But don't just assume that the only way for you to tell your spouse that they're bugging you is going to be a fight. Hold on. I often don't tell my spouse what's real because I don't want him to fix it. Okay. I hear this a lot. And women will say, well, I'm not going to tell my husband what's wrong because then he just tries to fix the whole thing and it bugs me. And so again, there's no power in that and we're feeling powerless. And so then we don't talk to them at all and we create disconnection, which is the opposite of what we want. So, gee, I don't know. What if you prefaced it? You're just like, hey, I love you so much. And I think it's so amazing that you want to help me and you want to fix my problems because you love me. That's amazing. I'm so grateful for you. But I'm going to tell you something right now and I don't want you to fix it. I just need you to hear it. Right. And you could just practice saying the thing. And even if they're like, hey, I have an idea. You can do this amazing thing. You can kiss their mouth so they can stop talking. That's what I would suggest. Or you can just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to stop you right there. I love you so much. I just don't want you to fix this. I'm going to go wash some dishes. Right? Like you can do things to send that message, because if you're just thinking that, but you never express that, maybe they have no idea. Maybe they think they're being the best husband in the world. You have to be willing to communicate these things. Is there anyone else that has a question or a comment or anything like that? So real quick, just because we are at time, I'm going to give you a few things to give you further help. Okay. So I want to thank all of you so much for coming and for putting in your feedback and your questions. It just makes the class come alive. And obviously, I can't coach you through every single issue that you brought up in an hour. We don't have enough time. But the good news is I offer a completely free discovery call. So if you want some more help on this, or if you are struggling to be real, I want to invite you to go to heatherflakecoaching.com and sign up for a free call with me. And you can come and we can talk about it all. You can get more help. We can talk about opportunities to work with me longer term. But the thing that you need to know is you have every reason to be hopeful, that your relationship matters because you matter and the other person matters. And yeah, it's hard to be real, but it's so worth it. It's worth it to have a real relationship where you can experience connection and joy and romance and love. And no matter where you're at today, I want to tell you that there's so much in your control that you can do to feel more of those emotions. And I can help you do that. That's what I do. Very good. We have a question here. Okay. Oh, when's that course starting and how much is it? Okay, so the marriage mindset course starts September 19th. It's every day at 12 p.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific time. We go for an hour and it's $20. And half of those proceeds are supporting suicide prevention. So yes, definitely sign up for that. We start in September. The other question that I'm just going to address really quick is when I need help. I find it really hard to be real when I need help, right? So something that I want to ask you is, what are you making it mean that you mean help? Some of us don't like to ask for help because we think it's a weak thing to do. Like we're making it mean that we're weak and we're not strong and we're not independent enough. So you need to explore that for yourself. Like, what do I make it mean that I need help? And could you be wrong about that? And you not asking for help is, I mean, you're not totally being honest, but you're not giving your partner an opportunity to help you and to draw closer to you, right? And that stinks for you. Okay. The marriage mindset is a crazy, amazing deal and totally worth it. Highly recommend it to everyone. Thank you. Yes. So I ran this course in June. So obviously this person already did marriage mindset, but it is, I mean, I'm biased because it's mine, but it's super fun. It's a ton of value for $20 and you're supporting a really amazing cause. So go sign up right after this call. I'm also on Instagram at Heather Flake Coaching. You can ask me any of these questions, but really, if you're suffering, if you're having a hard time feeling the love for your spouse or asking for help or having these conversations, or your marriage just feels like a fight, come talk to me. It's free. come talk to me. I can help you. And life is too short and it's too long to feel bad in your relationships because so much more is available to you. All right, my beautiful friends. Thank you so much for coming today. I've had the best time. I'm so happy I was able to spend an hour of my day with you. Thank you for coming and for putting so much goodness into this class. Y'all are the very best. Oh, we have another little comment in here. Very helpful and supportive information. Thank you. Thank you. Seriously, thank you for coming. It's a big deal. All right. And I'll be here. I do a course every single month. So be sure you follow me on Instagram. I have an email, Winning Wednesday. I send out a tip every single Wednesday to help you win in your marriage. So you can get all that good stuff at Heather Flake Coaching and my Instagram. So, okay. Thank you guys so much for coming. Go be real. Go practice being real. Practice being bad at it. Give yourself time and space. You're amazing. You've got this. Okay. Love y'all. Take care. We'll see you next time.